Happy Camper Radio starts in 3, 2, 1. Hello, my fellow campers. It's time once again for another edition of the Happy Camper Radio Show. The only place to be when you're ready to talk camping. Camping is what we're about. Camping is all we talk about. It's episode 165. And on the show today, folks, have you ever been in a situation where you had everything in place to go camping? The weekend was here, and all of a sudden, something came up where you just couldn't go. All of a sudden you realize maybe money's a little bit too tight. Maybe the car broke down. Something terrible has happened that has derailed your camping trip for that weekend. I think we've all been there before. I know I have on a couple of occasions. But what if you had a situation where you could set up a campsite in your very own backyard? I'm not talking just pitching the tent in the middle of the yard for the whole world to see. Let's say you had one secluded spot on your property where you could call it your own personal campsite to use anytime you wanted to. Some things have changed recently on my property where I now am able to install, if we want to call it that, or should I say establish? I think that's a more appropriate word. I have now established my own personal campsite that I can go to anytime I want. Think it's a little far-fetched? Well, I'll tell you what, folks, stick around. I'm going to encourage you to build one on your own personal lot, your personal property, a place you can go to anytime you want to go camping. It's what we have in store for you today on this episode of Happy Camper Radio, so stick around. You can get in touch with us anytime by calling 404-537-2267. That's 404-537-CAMP. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker, add us to Circles on Google+, and of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to www.happycamperradio.com. You'll find all of our social media icons right there on the homepage. Click on any one of them. You'll connect up with us. Take the studio tour. See what we've got going on behind the scenes. And oh, yes, folks, we have a lot of neat things I'm going to be telling you about here on today's program. Some things that we are looking forward to adding to the show. Very, very exciting. I've been quite busy here behind the scenes lately. But anyway, we do have some folks that signed up recently on social media. I want to take an opportunity to say hello to them right now. First of all, to the folks at Northern Jeep in Comstock Park, Michigan. Bruce Hoba of San Diego, California. Skip Elder, I love your name, of Rancho Cucamonga, California. They like us on Facebook. To Ken Rutkowski of Los Angeles. He's following us on Twitter. Kevin Knuckles and Garen Sanders, they've added us to Circles on Google+. And finally, to Stroy Gilliard, who subscribed to our YouTube channel. Thank you all so very much. Glad to have you on board. And more importantly, thank you for being a part of this great Happy Camper Radio family. Remember, the Happy Camper Radio Show can be heard all around the world by great listeners just like you. You can find us in the iTunes Store, on Podbean, MyRoGuide, Stitcher, the BlackBerry Podcast Directory, iHeartRadio, and now on Google Play Music. So many options you have available to pick up our program. So definitely tune in anytime. And thank you always for being a listener of the Happy Camper Radio Show. All right, let's talk today about personal backyard campgrounds. I really think it's a great idea because you can go camping anytime you want. Now, let's also keep in mind, too, weather permitting. Nobody is going to go camping over the weekend when you have a downpour in your backyard. Snow may be one thing, but rain is totally out of the question. The last thing you want to have to do is leave your gear set up for the sun to come out and relocate it on your property somewhere so it can get some sun, so it can dry itself out, and then you fold things up, you pack it away, and you put it away for your upcoming camping trip, which will be either in your own backyard or maybe somewhere down the road at a lakeside somewhere where you and the family can just unwind and get away from it all. But I wanted to talk about this today because I think it is so very important that we have a place that we can call our very own. 2 years ago, I had a privacy fence added to 2 sections of my property. And the big reason here was because we added some new family members, some 4-legged family members. Now, as you know, we unfortunately lost Harper here a few months back. It's not the fact that he grew old and he just had to go to doggy heaven. The fact was that he had a heart condition and he was going very, very fast. So we did the most logical thing and the most ethical thing, and that was to deprive him of his misery that he was going through. But we have had another family member here by the name of Sadie, and I think I posted a couple pictures of her on social media. I'm going to go ahead and repost those. Anyway, we have also added recently another adopted friend by the name of, well, let me start from the very beginning. His name was Miles when he got here, but somebody in the house thought he looked more like a Romeo. So, yes, we have Sadie and Romeo, and they needed room to run in the yard. Now, 2 sections of my property were already fenced in with 4-foot cyclone fences. The other 2 sides were open. One would allow the dog to run over to the adjacent property, or in another section would allow the dog to run to the front of the house up near the road, which is definitely something we did not want. So what we did is we fenced off with privacy fence 2 sections of the property. The other 2 sections had cyclone fence. In other words, we had 4 sections of our property that was already fenced in. Well, since adopting Romeo, he decided that he was going to exercise his ability to climb the 4-foot cyclone fence and get to the other side. The neighbors behind us did not like that too well because Romeo is a pit bull terrier. And even though he is cute looking, the fact is he's a pit bull, and we all know that pit bulls get a very bad rap. He did that a couple times, and I decided, well, I know what we need to do now. We need to enclose the other sections of the property with privacy fence. So we have 4 sides of the house all fenced in with privacy fence. We had that done here about 3 weeks ago, and it looks beautiful. The dogs cannot get out. That's the most important thing. But one other thing that I did notice, the backyard looks fantastic. It is all fenced in. It has a kind of a cozy look to it. And the one corner of my property that is very shaded is an ideal location for a personal campsite, which I am now going to establish as a place for myself to go camping anytime I want. If I can't get away, if I have a lot of things going on that weekend where I just can't get away, I've got, things here in the studio, I've got auditions I'm working on, and for some reason I just can't get away like I really would want to, I still can do that. I can take my gear, I can set it up in the backyard, over in that little corner of the property where, I'm there by myself. I don't have to worry about the neighbors checking in on me, looking at me while I'm setting up my tent or barbecuing on the grill or feeding the campfire or sitting there in my recliner, relaxing and just taking in the fresh air. I can do that now, and I've got the privacy to do it. I really think this is something important everybody who is into camping ought to consider. The fencing provides privacy and seclusion, and that there alone sets up a personal camp environment. Also, many neighbors are going to be friendly and neighborly, but I believe that almost everyone is going to have a Mrs. Kravitz in their neighborhood. I have one of those. Somebody who moved in after the old folks moved out several years ago. And this individual has nothing better to do with his time but to sit in the window and watch everything that is going on your property. If you're out cutting the grass, you are being monitored. If you're out flying a kite, you're being monitored. If you're walking the dogs, if you're playing catch, if you're rolling around in the grass, somebody is watching you and taking notes. Doesn't that drive you nuts? Well, the fencing took care of that problem. And I don't think he was too pleased when I got that fence up. But, hey, I feel comfortable, and that's what's more important than anything else. I do have a camping trip coming up here at the end of March, which is just a couple weeks away. That's when my vacation kicks in. My plans are to go away on a camping trip with some friends. And chances are we're probably going to go up to our regular site up in North Georgia because the air blows very free and very clean up there. And it's a wonderful place to get away to. I love the thought of being by a lake or a running stream and just getting away from society and getting away from a place where you don't even have to worry about your cell phones working because there's no cell phone signals back there. That's the place I would really want to go, but I don't want to go by myself. Now, we've talked about this here probably about 4 or 5 months ago, and we were going to agree to get together, but things are not panning out right now, and I definitely am not going to go up by myself. So if things don't work out for Plan A, Plan B will be to go camping in my very own personal campground or my campsite, whatever I want to call it, because it looks awesome. I'm going to take some pictures here in the next day or two and post them on social media so you can see what I'm talking about and why I'm so excited about this and why this area is so secluded. Pine trees in the area, pine straw all over the place on the ground sets the environment up and sets the picture-perfect campsite up for you to go camping. Something else I've got going on here at Happy Camper Radio. I just recently made an investment that I don't want to call it a knee-jerk investment, but I'm glad that I did it. A lot of people who do this kind of thing, who do podcasts, regardless of what their topic is, oftentimes will take a lot of pictures. In some cases, take videos. And I decided I was going to go ahead and bump this up a notch a bit when I bought myself a broadcast quality, should I say broadcast grade video camera and lighting package, which I am going to include for some of our shows. I can actually take videos of myself doing the show and post it on social media. I can actually do a live Facebook or live YouTube presentation. But what I really want to do, it's one thing to do this in the studio, but actually being out at a campground where I am around folks, good folks, just like yourself, and being able to do this kind of a show, I don't think I could ask for anything better. And that's my plan. Now, I did get the gear here about a week or two ago, and I've had some time to monkey around with it. This is not your typical consumer-grade video camera, folks. If you check out some of the pictures I put recently on Facebook, you'll get an idea what I'm talking about. This is a broadcast-grade camera, and the quality of the video footage is absolutely remarkable. And I'm hoping to employ this more and more into the Happy Camper radio show, so we not only have our radio program, but we can actually show some of the videos of us doing what we do best here at the program. And again, most of the videos that I'm going to be shooting, we're going to be out in the field, not here in the studio. Of course, sometimes I will go ahead and take some videos here of myself doing the show, especially if I have a guest coming on in. I definitely would want to do that. But the idea of actually getting out and maybe doing some how-to videos and taking some videos around, at different campsites and different places across the country as I get closer and closer to retirement, and I definitely want to get out a little bit more. That's what the plan is. I'm going to actually go out and I'm going to shoot some videos, and you never know, I will be doing my show actually on camera as opposed to behind the microphone here in the studio. So I've got a lot of gear. I've just bumped it up a notch, and just give me a little bit of time because there's a lot of reading, folks, a lot of studying that I've got to do, and I definitely want to get this right before I actually bring some televised or video presentations to you on Happy Camper Radio. So again, this is another thing I've kicked around for some years in addition to the backyard campsite. Again, it's not like sleeping by the lake or sleeping by a running stream. I couldn't think of a better place to be. If I had a running stream running through my backyard and a time that, it's nighttime and I'm tired and I put my head on the pillow and it's time to relax, that would be the ideal camping environment. I unfortunately do not have that here in my backyard. But again, it's a place that I can go to anytime I want, and I don't need an invitation. I don't have to wait for the car to break down. I don't have to wait for something to happen where I'm going to be disappointed and I'm saying to myself, wow, I just got to sit at home in front of the TV set this weekend because things just didn't work out. Well, now they have. It's a place that I can go camping. Interacting and meeting fellow campers around the world is a very, very important thing to me. Over the years, all the camping that I have done, the places I have been, I have met people, even just for one time, a 1 or 2 day camping trip where I just meet some folks, and I know that I'm never going to see them again. But I have made a friend. That's what is so important about going out in the world and getting out there and going camping and meeting folks. Yes, your personal backyard campsite is going to allow you much greater camping opportunities, but again, the idea of getting out and getting away and meeting some folks and being maybe someplace you've never been to before is going to be the best type of a situation for each and every one of us who enjoy camping. Now, I'm going to make this the ideal backyard camping site for myself, and you will see when I start posting some of the pictures on social media. I understand that not everyone has the means available to go camping on a moment's notice. Keep in mind, campgrounds are going to be full. Your time and travel is going to be a factor. Let's just say you live in an apartment complex or you live in a condo where you don't have any property in the backyard. Maybe it's joint property that you're sharing. It's not going to offer you the opportunities and options like I have. But that doesn't mean that you can't get together with a family member or a friend who maybe does have a yard, who does have a home, who does have a fenced-in environment, and maybe not even thought about for 1 second the possibility of establishing their own personal backyard campsite right there in their own backyard. And if you can get them to do that, you've got a place to go camping. Granted, I may be camping by myself here in a couple weeks. I may have some friends come on over. But, I'll tell you, there's nothing better than having somebody, a good friend or a family member, bring their tent on over along with yours and you pitching it right there in the backyard. So you at least have some company. You can at least sit around the fire and you can at least chat and have a good time, almost like you're being away somewhere. That makes backyard camping even more inviting. Now, here's some things you're definitely going to want to consider. Almost any size backyard are going to work for this type of environment, for your own personal campsite. Does your property offer shade? Very, very important. If you have some overhead sun beating down on you, I know for myself personally, when I go camping, oftentimes I like to take a nap or two in the afternoon. And if it's a very nice day outside and it's a little cool, I may not even put the rain fly on top of my tent. I definitely don't want it there at nighttime if it's not raining because I like looking up there into the stars. I like looking up through the trees. I like watching the wind blow the trees and maybe hear the crickets and the squirrels and everything running around. That's so very important to me. Right? But, the thing is, it's going to keep your neighbors out of your business. If privacy is a concern, that you want to have a place that you can go to and you don't have to worry about anybody checking up on you or somebody coming out and standing at the edge of their patio and watching you. That's why I like the seclusion that I have to offer right now for my personal campsite that I'm building here on my own property, which I want to say is maybe about 100, 200 feet away from the house. So you can tell I don't have a very big lot, but it's very secluded, very, very shaded, and it's a place that I can call my own anytime I want to. Something else you're going to definitely want to consider too, if you're thinking about building your own personal campsite, a campfire is one of the absolute most important necessities of any camping experience. But let's keep in mind too, every jurisdiction is different. Every community is different. There are laws, there are rules, there are regulations when it comes to outdoor burning. Some do not allow outdoor burning under any circumstances. Those communities, shame on you. I know the big city here, not too far away from me, you won't get away with having an outdoor fire in your backyard anytime you want. Where I live, it's a little bit different. It's a little more relaxed, but yes, there are rules and regulations that we have to follow. Although the campfire enhances the experience, I don't want anybody to run afoul of the law. You know, a simple phone call to your local fire marshal is going to provide a lot of the answers that you need before you decide to set up camp wherever that may be. I strongly suggest doing your research online because you can get almost all of your questions answered by the click of a mouse. Where I live, again, we're very well regulated when it comes to outdoor burning. There's certain times of the year that will allow for us in our community to burn fallen vegetation. Let's just say branches come down off the tree, a tree falls over and you cut it on up. You've got leaves to burn in the fall. You can do that, but it's going to be a very regulated environment. In other words, if it's rained the day before, chances are you're going to have to go to the county website. You're going to have to go to the fire marshal's website. You're going to have to look up to find out if it's a burn day or not. You've got to be able to have something available to put out the fire if something gets out of control. Keeping a garden hose nearby, maybe a fire extinguisher, a rake, and a shovel. For recreational burning, I know there's some communities that will allow bonfires if you get together. You may have to get a permit for that, but I'm not looking at a big bonfire. I'm looking at a small campfire where I'm going to go camping. For us over here, we can have one of those outdoor fireplaces that has a screen on top that will capture all the stuff that's blowing around, or maybe one of those chimneys. They do approve of those. Now, ground burning in our community is not permissible after dark or on Sundays. Again, you need to call your local fire marshal, your county, or visit their website to find out if it's a no-burn day, if you're allowed to burn at all. It really would help if you can go ahead and get those questions out of the way very, very quickly and right up front, because then you can decide what you can do and what you can't do. For me, it's very painful to go camping anywhere if you are not permitted a campfire. I had been up in the North Georgia mountains here this past November, and that's when we had a drought going on. There was a no-burn ban all over the place. All of North Georgia was covered with a no-burn ban. You couldn't even light a match and get away with it. And I can understand that because we saw what happened up in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, which is just north of that location, and very, very devastating. I know they've got a lot to rebuild up there, but this is what can happen. We have no control over Mother Nature, and if she wants to rain on us, if she wants to snow on us, or she wants us to deprive us of the ability to actually have a campfire in our own backyard or anywhere, then she's going to do just that. So, you know, we're playing at the mercy of Mother Nature anytime we go camping. But if you're planning on building your own private campground in your own backyard, one of the very first things you want to do is find out whether or not you can have a campfire. And like, again, my friends, don't run afoul of the law. Always check these things out beforehand. For me, yes, I've got a few regulations I've got to comply with, but I can live with that. It's still a place I can go camping in the spring, fall, winter, or summer, a place very close to home in the event I just cannot get away. Firewood's generally not a problem anywhere. If I go camping and it's not very far away, I will bring some firewood from home. We don't like to move firewood into different regions because we talk about that on the show all the time. Don't move firewood. In fact, go to don'tmovefirewood.org and you can find out the reasons why the tree-killing insects, we don't want to have them venture in from one section of the country to the other and start destroying, the live trees and the plants and the vegetation and things like that. A lot of times what you can do, you can buy bundles of firewood at a grocery store or a convenience store. They're a little bit costly, but, a couple bundles of wood will get you through the night if you're just spending one night. And if you go to a public or a private campground, if they don't have wood for sale right there, chances are they're going to be able to have a vendor somewhere nearby that they can direct you to, and you can get your firewood there. For a personal campsite like I'm setting up here in my own backyard, we have a guy right down the street within walking distance, and all this guy does all year long is cut up firewood, split it, and sell it. It's good to have something like that close by in the event you want to have a campfire that you can set up in your own backyard for when you go camping on your own. There's no reason why you can't pack it in like you normally would in your own personal camping environment, just the same as you would if you were going on a long-distance camping trip. You're going to want to bring along your lawn chairs, your cooler, your charcoal, your gas grills, your lanterns, tiki torches. I'm going to load my cooler full of food for the entire week. If I go camping here in my own backyard, the water coolers are going to be filled just as if I was going at a private or a public campground to do that. The only reason I'm going to need to enter my home is to maybe shower or use the local restroom facility, and that's going to be right there on the first floor of my home. Okay, outside of that, I'm going to be hanging around all week at camp. It's a great environment for the household pets as well. The toughest part, again, is separating the kids from the electronics. If you have a campground in your backyard and you want to encourage your kids to go camping. Yes, we've talked about that on a number of occasions. Keeping the kids separated from the electronics is a tough thing to do, but once they get separated, once they see what everything is all about when it comes to the great outdoors, they can get connected right with it. That's one of the things you want to do as a parent. Show them what it's all about, because they're going to get older someday and they're going to have kids of their own. And by that time, the electronics are going to get very old. At least I hope they will. I'm still an old-fashioned type of guy. But, this provides quality time for your family, a family time to get together, even if it's in your own backyard. Think about it, your own personal, private campground. I'm setting mine up. I hope you do too. It's time now for our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show.
Yep.
And this week, I want to take you out to the state of Wyoming to Router Campground. It's part of Black Hills National Forest, run by the U.S. Forestry Service. Router Campground is situated along a hillside of ponderosa pine and grassy understory, offering a peaceful setting for guests seeking recreation and relaxation in the northeastern Wyoming Black Hills National Forest. The campground is named after Emil Router, a German immigrant who made his way into the canyon in 1893 and spent the rest of his life prospecting in that area. The Black Hills National Forest offers a multitude of recreational opportunities throughout the season. Hiking, fishing, horseback riding, mountain biking, and riding off-highway vehicles are very popular in the summer and early autumn. Winter landscapes offer an ideal snowshoeing, skiing, and snowmobiling opportunity for anybody that's into that. It's a year-round campground, so you definitely want to consider this any time of the year, whatever type of environment you want to go camping in. A lot of great nearby attractions. Check out their activities and amenities right there on their website. Also, know before you go. A good list of items right there you want to consider before you plan your trip out to Wyoming. But if you're looking to go there any time of the year, a place to go camping year-round, summer, winter, fall, or spring, consider Router Campground. It is our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. And, of course, if you have a campground that you would like for us to feature on the program, get in touch with me, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com. Make sure you include a link to the campground website. Well, folks, that's about all the time I have for today's show. As always, it's a pleasure getting together with you, sitting down behind the microphone, or better yet, sitting next to a campfire and talking about one of these fantastic opportunities to get out and enjoy the wilderness. Nothing like it, my friends. Hope to be out there with you again real soon. Remember, folks, every pet deserves a loving home. I want you to do exactly like I did. Visit your local shelter and adopt a pet today. You can find us online anytime at www.happycamperradio.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker. Add us to Circles on Google+, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The Happy Camper Radio Show is a presentation of Skip Huber Productions. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper. And no question about it, my friends, I'm going to do my best to make a happy camper out of you. Talk to you again real soon. This is Happy Camper Radio.